Millie Molly Mandy goes excavating. Once upon a time, as Millie Molly Mandy was going into school, she noticed a number of young men come striding along from the crossroads and up Hooker's Hill. They were carrying spades and pickaxes and things, but somehow they didn't look like men who were mending the roads. I wonder what they're going to do, said Millie Molly Mandy. They're going to go excavating, said Billy Blunt. I heard my dad talking about it. They've got permission. What's excavating? Digging up old things, said Billy Blunt. Like buried treasure, that sort of thing. How do they know where to do it? They guess, said Billy Blunt. They guess ancient Britons might have lived up there once. They just want to find out. It sounded rather exciting. Millie Molly Mandy wished she could do digging instead of just going to school. Next Saturday morning, she took Toby the dog for a walk down to the village, rather hoping to hear more about the excavating. As she passed the corn shop, she saw Billy Blunt hanging over the side gate. Hello, said Millie Molly Mandy. What are you doing? Billy Blunt didn't answer. Anyone could see he's doing nothing. But after a moment, he said, You want to see something? Of course, Millie Molly Mandy said yes at once. And Billy Blunt drew his hand slowly out of his pocket and opened it. There was a flat, round thing in it, streaked brown and green. What do you make of that? He asked. What is it? Is it money? Where did you find it? I excavated it. You didn't. Where? In our garden, by the bonfire heap. I was just digging a bit to see if there might be anything. You never know. And I dug this up. It must have been ancient, said Millie Molly Mandy. Have you shown it to anybody? Not yet. Billy Blunt rubbed it carefully with his handkerchief. Mother's busy and Dad's got customers. Let's show it to Mr. Rudge, said Millie Molly Mandy. He knows about iron and such things. He'll know if it's valuable. So they went along to the forge, where the blacksmith was blowing up his fire. Millie Molly Mandy peeped in the doorway. Mr. Rudge, Billy Blunt's excavated something, she told him, and we want to know if you think it's very valuable. The blacksmith looked round with a twinkle in his eye. He held out one great grimy hand, working the bellows with the other, and Billy Blunt put the precious coin into it. Mr. Rudge examined it on one side, then the other. Then he rubbed it on his big leather apron and looked again. Hmm, he said solemnly. Georgian, I'd say. Yes, undoubtedly. Is that very ancient? Asked Millie Molly Mandy. What's it worth? If you are asking me, don't you take a half penny less than a penny for it. But mind you, if it's a treasure trove, it may belong to the crown. He gave the coin back and turned again to his fire. Billy Blunt and Millie Molly Mandy came out into the sunshine, looking to see what all that rubbing had done. Looks like there's a head, said Billy Blunt. Can't see any date. What's treasure trove mean? Asked Millie Molly Mandy. Dunno, perhaps if you dig up treasure you aren't supposed to keep it. Then Millie Molly Mandy had an idea. If you dug this out of your garden, maybe there's some more in there. Can't you go excavating again? I'll help. So they went back to the Blunt's garden beside the corn shop, and Billy Blunt led the way round the rhubarb bed to the end by the rubbish heap and the bonfire. He picked up a trowel and handed Milly Molly Mandy a rusty knife to dig with, and began jabbing about in the earth and weeds. But there didn't seem to be anything else but stones. Plenty of them. Presently Milly Molly Mandy said, It's awfully hard under here. Feels like a rock. Where? Where? Said Billy Blunt. He came over and used his trowel. Looks like cement. Perhaps it's buried treasure cemented in it, said Milly Molly Mandy. Fetch a spade out of the shed there, ordered Billy Blunt. Hurry. So Milly Molly Mandy ran and fetched him a spade, and she took over the trowel, and they could see that there was something underneath the earth and weeds. It's got an iron lid, panted Milly Molly Mandy. It's an iron chest, cemented down, puffed Billy Blunt. They got the top scraped clear. It was a square and rusty, with a kind of loop to lift it by. This is buried treasure, all right. Billy Blunt was red with excitement. Milly Molly Mandy wanted to jump and shout, but she was so busy. The lid was awfully heavy. They tried to lever it up, but they couldn't. You'll have to tell your father and mother, won't you? Said Milly Molly Mandy at last. Billy Blunt dropped the spade and dashed indoors. And presently Mr. Blunt came out in his apron and walked over their hill. That, he said, whatever you will be up to next, that's only the cover of the drain. When he stopped laughing, he added, just as well as you unearthed it, though, there might have been trouble if the authorities knew it had got over. Don't know how it happened. But look, Dad, I found this. Billy Blunt showed his piece of money. We thought there might be some more. It's quite ancient, isn't it? The blacksmith said it was Georgian. Mr. Blunt scraped with his pocket knife of, for a moment. Then he fished a few coins from his trousers pocket and picked out a penny and handed it over with another. Here's your same Georgian coin. He chuckled. King George the Fifth, only but a bit cleaner. Yours looks as if it's been on the bonfire. Well, it was all very disappointing. But anyhow, those 2 pennies bought 2 fine peppermint humbugs from Miss Muggins's shop, and sucking away together, Billy Blunt and Milly Molly Mandy both agreed it had been really quite fun while it lasted. But they hoped on the excavators but they hoped the excavators up on Hooker's Hill were having better luck. Milly Molly Mandy goes sledging. Once upon a time, one cold, grey, wintry day, Milly Molly Mandy and the others were coming home from school. It was such a cold, wintry day that everybody turned up in their coat collars and put their hands in their pockets, and such a grey, wintry day that it almost seemed dark already, though it was only 4 o'clock. Ooh, isn't it a cold, grey, wintry day? Said Milly Molly Mandy. Perhaps it's going to snow, said little friend Susan. Hope it does, said Billy Blunt. I'm going to make a sledge. Whereupon Milly Molly Mandy and little friend Susan said both together, ooh, will you give us a ride on it? Haven't made it yet, said Billy Blunt. But I've got an old wooden box I can make it of. Then he said goodbye and went at the side gate by the corn shop where he lived. And Milly Molly Mandy and little friend Susan ran together along the road to the Moggs' cottage. Moggs' cottage, where little friend Susan lived. And then Milly Molly Mandy went on alone to the nice white cottage with the thatched roof, where Toby the dog came capering out to welcome her home. It felt so nice and warm in the kitchen, and it smelled so nice and warm too, that Milly Molly Mandy was quite glad to be in. Here she comes, said Grandma, putting the well-filled toast rack on the table. There you are, said Auntie, breaking open hot scones and buttering them on a plate. Just in time, Milly Molly Mandy, said Mother, pouring boiling water into the teapot. Call the men folk into tea, but don't keep the door open long. So Millie Molly Mandy called, and father and grandpa and grandpa and uncle soon came in, rubbing their hands, very pleased to get back into the warm again. Ah, nicer indoors than out. There's snow in the air, said uncle. Shouldn't wonder if we had a fall before morning, said father. Billy Blunt's going to make a sledge, and he might let Susan and me have a ride if it snows, said Milly Molly Mandy, and she wished very much that it would. Dad said father and uncle talking during tea of the fun they used to have in their young days sledging down Crocker's Hill. Milly Molly Mandy did wish it would snow soon. Milly Molly Mandy called mother up the stairs as she did every morning. You, called Milly Molly Mandy to show she was awake. Have you looked out of your window yet? Called mother. No, mother, called Milly Molly Mandy, sitting up in bed. Why, you look, said mother. And hurry up with your dressing. And she went downstairs to the kitchen to get the breakfast. So Milly Molly Mandy jumped out of bed and looked. Oh, she said, staring. Oh, for everything outside her little low window, which was white as white could be, except the sky, which was dark, dirty grey and crisscrossed all over with snowflakes falling down. Oh ho ho, said Milly Molly Mandy again. Look, Coco. Shh. And then she set to work washing and dressing in a great hurry, and it wasn't cold, and she rushed downstairs. She wanted to go out and play at once, almost before she had done breakfast, but mother said that there was plenty of time to clear up all her porridge, for she mustn't go out until the snow had stopped falling. Mary Molly Mandy hoped it would be quick and stop. She wanted to see little friend Susan and to find out if Billy Blunt had begun making his sledge. But father said the deeper the snow, the better for sledging. So when Milly Molly Mandy, so then Milly Molly Mandy he most wished it to snow or to stop snowing. Well, said mother, it looks like as if it means to go on snowing for some while yet. So I should wish that I were you. Suppose you would be Jemima Jane and help me to make the cakes this morning as you can't go out. So Milly Molly Mandy tied on an apron and became Jemima Jane. and she washed up the breakfast things and put them away and fetched whatever mother wanted for cake making from the larder and the cupboard. And she picked over the sultanas, which was a nice job, as Jemima Jane was allowed to eat as many sultanas as she had fingers on both hands, but not one more. And she beat both the eggs in a basin and stirred the cake mixture in the bowl. And after mother had filled the cake tins, Jemima Jane was allowed to put the scrapings into her own little patty pan and bake it for her own self in the oven. And that sort of cake always tastes nicer than any other sort, only there's never enough of it. Well, it snowed and snowed and snowed all day. Milly Molly Mandy kept running to the windows to look, but it hadn't stopped once. When father and grandpa and uncle had to go out to see after the cows and the pony and the chicken, they came back looking like snowmen. Is it good for sledging yet, father? Asked Milly Molly Mandy. Getting better every minute, Milly Molly Mandy. That's certain, answered father, stamping off snow from his boots off the doormat. I wonder what Susan thinks of it, and if Billy nearly made his sledge yet, said Milly Molly Mandy. But it didn't stop snowing before dark, so she couldn't find out that day. Hi, hello, good evening. Hello.
Mommy just kept the tear.
The next Sunday, the snow had stopped falling and it looked beautiful, spread out all over everything. Father and mother and grandpa and grandma and uncle and auntie and Milly Molly Mandy put on their Wellington boots or goloshes. Milly Molly Mandy had boots and walked to church. Grandma didn't like walking in the snow, so she stayed at home to look after the fire and put the potatoes on. Billy Blunt was there with his father and mother, so afterwards in the lane, Milly Molly Mandy had asked him, "Have you made your sledge yet?" And Billy Blunt said, "'Tisn't finished. Dad's going to help me with it this afternoon. I'll be trying it out before school tomorrow, probably." Milly Molly Mandy was sorry it wasn't done yet. But anyhow, she and little friend Susan had a grand time all that afternoon, making the snowman in the Mog's front garden. On Monday, Milly Molly Mandy was in a great hurry to finish her breakfast and be off and very early to school. She didn't have to wait long for little friend Susan either, and together they trudged along the snow. It was quite hard going, For sometimes it was almost over the tops of their boats, but they didn't always keep to the road. When they came to the village there, just outside the corn shop, Billy Blunt's new sledge, and while they were looking at it, Billy Blunt came out at the side gate. Hello, hello, he said. Thought you weren't coming. Hello, Billy. Isn't that a beauty? Have you been on it yet? Can we have a ride? You'll have to hurry then, said Billy Blunt, picking up the string. I've been up on the hill by Crocker's farm, past the crossroads. I know, said Milly Molly Bandy, near where that little girl Bunchy and her grandmother live. Can we go out there now? Hurry up then, said Billy Blunt. So they all hurried up through the village, past the crossroads and the school, along the road to Crocker's Hill, shuffling through the snow, dragging the sledge behind them. Isn't it deep here? Panted Milly Molly Pandy. This is the way Bunchy comes to school every day. I wonder how she'll manage today. She isn't very big. We've come uphill a long way, panted little friend Susan. Can't we sit on the sledge and go down now? Oh, let's get to the top of the hill first, panted Milly Molly Mandy. There's a steep bit here, there. You'll get a good run, said Milly Molly Mandy. I've done it, Billy Blunt. I've done it 6 times. I went up there before breakfast. Oh, I wish I'd come too, said Milly Molly Mandy. Sledge only holds one, said Bill Blunt. Oh, said Milly Molly Mandy. Oh, said little friend Susan. They hadn't thought of that. Which of us has first to go? Said little friend Susan. Don't suppose there'll be time for more than one of you anyhow, said Billy Blunt. We've got to get back. You have first to go, said Milly Molly Mandy to little friend Susan. No, you have first to go, said little friend Susan to Milly Molly Mandy. Better hurry, said Willy Blunt. You'll be late for school. They struggled up on the last steep bit on the hill, and there were the little girl Bunchy and her grandmother hand in hand struggling up it through the snow from the other side. The little cottage where they lived could be seen down below, with their 2 sets of footprints leading from it. Hello, Bunchy, said Milly Molly Mandy. Oh, hello, Milly Molly Mandy, said Bunchy. And Bunchy and her grandmother both looked very pleased to see them all. Grandmother had just been thinking she would have taken Bunchy all the way to school today. But Milly Molly said, I'll take care of her. And she took hold of Bunchy's little cold hand and with her warm one. It was very warm indeed with pulling the sledge up the hill. You go down the sledge, Susan. I'll look after Bunchy. No, said little friend Susan. You wanted to sit on it. Sit her on it, said Billy Blunt, pointing to Bunchy. We can run her to school any time, in no time. Come on. So Bunchy had the ride with Billy Blunt to guide the sledge, and Milly Molly Mandy and little friend Susan to keep her safe on it. And grandmother stood and watched them all go shouting down the steep bit. And then, as Bunchy was quite light and the road was a bit downhill most of the way, they pulled her along easily right up to the school gate in good time for school, and Bunchy did enjoy her ride. She thought it was the most excitingest thing that had ever happened. And then after afternoon school, Bunchy had her dinner at school because it was too far for her to go home for it. Billy Blunt told her to get on his sledge again, and he and Milly Molly Mandy and little friend Susan pulled her all the way home except up the steepest bit, and grandmother was so grateful to them that she gave each a warm currant bun. And then Milly Molly Mandy and little friend Susan took turns riding down the hill on Billy Blunt's sledge. It went like the wind, so that you had to shriek like anything, and your cap blew off, and you felt that you could go on forever. And then whoosh, you landed sprawling in the snow just where the road turned near the bottom. Milly Molly Mandy and little friend Susan each got tipped out there. But when Billy Blunt had gone back to the top of the hill with a sledge for his turn, he came sailing down and rounded the bend like a bird, went on, and was almost at the crossroads when the others caught him up. But then he had plenty of practice, and nobody had seen him spill out at his first try. It seemed a long walk home to the nice white cottage with the thatched roof after all that. But Millie Molly Mandy was quite late for tea. But mother and father and grandpa and grandma and uncle and auntie weren't a bit cross because they guessed what she had been up to. Of course, you can't go sledging every day. In fact, it rained that very night, and next day the snow was nearly gone. So, wasn't it a good thing Billy Blunt got his sledge made in time? This book is called Millie Molly Mandy School Days. Okay, guys, goodbye. See you in the next live.